Okay, so this is basically a lesson that is trying to tell you, if you want to take this lesson, that people don't understand when I say you have to play, in a certain key. Not when I say people, I mean some of the people that I speak to that go on YouTube and they see a riff. It's very good to learn a riff, but if you want to play in a band, the band speaks the language. So the guitar I'm playing on is not a full size guitar. If I use the full size guitar, you won't be able to see my fingers because then my fingers will be up too high. This is a 3/4 inch Washburn $400 guitar. And then you can get this at Walmart for $220, but they don't make it in the red sunburst anymore. So okay, that's Over the Hill and Far Away Song by Led Zeppelin. But I'm not teaching you the whole song. I'm not just trying to tell you how a musician thinks. So I'm not doing the song correctly 100% or even close. Originally I was going to show you how I lose track of myself and I don't even know what I'm playing, which is what happens to them on stage when they get wasted or used to, because they don't remember. They just play by them probably, but anyway, so the riff that people do, okay, so that's part of what? It's part of a song and it's in the G major scale. So when you're a lead guitarist, I'm a lead guitarist, so I play the bass now because it was always something I want to challenge myself with because it's different than the guitar. But I don't give bass lessons because I don't really know how to play the bass too much, more the guitar. So I teach myself. I play the bass as a guitarist, if that makes any sense. Like it's missing 2 strings because I have a 4 string bass. But so okay, so let me do this in the scale. So basically, sometimes when I play this, I forget what I'm playing because I just play by ear. The reason I keep scratching my arm is because I'm sensitive, and when somebody walks by upstairs and they stomp, it vibrates the room because there's a commercial business upstairs and there's people walking around, and this is not a commercial building, so it vibrates the room and it makes me itch. So anyway, that was just me playing the G major scale. I wasn't really playing the Led Zeppelin song, to be honest with you. I was just playing by junk that I made up. But they're playing, when you play in a band, you're taking pieces of the G major scale or whatever scale you're playing in and you're mastering it. But you're not just mastering the fingering. You're actually, like, you see a lot of people practice. Musicians, or since you're probably learning guitar, they don't play in just one scale. And you can look up the song, and it'll tell you 3 different scales that this song is in, and that makes complete sense. So, in case you're wondering why I keep making mistakes, because I keep missing the scale, and it sounds like a mistake, but I'm actually just playing it 2 frets down, and the mistake is just I'm in the wrong scale. So I'm thinking that it should be here and the mistake you're hearing is was just playing that in the wrong scale. That went from G sharp. Oh, I was playing by accident. I was playing it a G major scale in G, which would have been I don't know what I was playing. I was here, just to show you how you could figure this out. Okay, so then I was playing it here. Okay, so if I was playing here, I shouldn't be hitting this note. That's why it sounds bad. G pentatonic is here, but this would have been like an A pentatonic. But if I was playing a mistake there, if I was playing a G pentatonic, okay, when I play it here, and this is the G major scale, then this is the so the G major scale. Okay, so then this is the G major scale in the second position. Okay. Okay. So then this would have been, I would have been playing it in F major, and that would have been, that's why it sounded so bad, because I made a mistake. I was playing the same notes, but when you're playing guitar on stage or something, you're playing like within 2 frets, because you can imagine there's a bunch of people looking at you, so you can't think about all these other, the noise upstairs. You can't think about too many things when you're on stage. So, like for example, this is a G note. You're thinking about how you're putting your fingers. The reason a lot of people don't understand, even you might not understand, it looks like I'm just not playing the way you want to play. But what you don't understand, if you're not a guitarist, if you are a guitarist, you do understand. When you're on stage, the reason you play like this, which looks like a spider, is because you're touching the strings to make sure you're on the right string. You're not trying to, show off, like all you have to do is have a guitar in your hand, and then no. You're touching the strings, like I'm touching it with my pinky and the second finger, index, middle finger. So it's a pinky and the index finger is on the second string, so that I know where I am, like a blind person. And you might notice that I mean, you can do that with a pick too. I mean, Led Zeppelin plays with a pick, so I play with a pick for certain songs. So, anyway, so it sounded like a mistake, but I was playing the same notes, and I was surprised to myself that I had to go down to the 7th fret because I was in the G, but I have to remember for myself that the G major is 2 frets down from the G pentatonic. So you also have to remember that you're in the G major 2nd position, meaning not the 1st position of the scale. Like when you break it down into boxes, they have the 2nd position and the 3rd position. I think they have 4 or 5 positions before it goes back into the 1st position. So when you play scales, you're playing between 3rd fret and in the pentatonic, you'd be playing between the 3rd fret and the 6th fret if it was pentatonic. But if you're in a G major, you're playing it over here. So then you're playing it in between the A, which is the 5th fret, and the 8th fret, which is C. And so my fingers are on right now in the above position of the G major. The G major would be here, so this is above, so it's the last position, and my fingers, which look like they're doing nothing, is actually just using my fingers as braille, so I know where the strings are. So why do guitars play sound like that? And I don't know. I don't want to label anyone. But why does a beginner guitarist think you have to hit the string really hard to sound like a rock players or in the heavy metal band don't hit the strings very hard because the amplifier amplifies it, and the guitar is very loud, so they don't hit the strings hard. If I was on stage, I wouldn't be hitting the strings hard. I would be trying to find the right string. But when you're practicing, you have to have an allowance for making mistakes, because what happens if you don't have an allowance for making mistakes, you're not really practicing. So that's why I'm not really ashamed to show you. Like, I didn't practice this lesson ahead of time, because when you practice, you have to make mistakes, and then as you make the mistakes, what happens is let's say you play the A pentatonic, right? And you keep missing. I'm making this up. I wouldn't really miss on an A pentatonic, but if you were playing it, right, and you wasn't pressing it hard enough, and it sounded like this, you're not going to just go from that into being able to play it. You have to make the mistakes. So you keep missing it. It might take you a while to figure it out. And then you might not have coordination in your hand to hit the next note. You might go like this. And the reason you're making that mistake isn't because you're stupid. It's because you haven't positioned your hand properly. That's why. So, by allowing yourself to make the mistake, you work on your muscles, and you work on there's different parts of the note. You can be too high or too low, or you can be accidentally bending the string. But if you've been playing for over 10 years, that's not going to really happen unless you're not practicing at all, and your pinky is not as strong as your. But that doesn't matter. What matters is the position of your hand. That's the first thing they teach you, is the position of your hand. And the position of your hand in retrospect to the rest of your body. Your hand is connected to your spine through your arm, to your brain. So it has to be centered without forcing it, is what you really want. It doesn't matter where the guitar is, your hand can do certain things. So let's say, for example, you have some people that are heavy, skinny, tall, they have long arms. They all have different positions that your shapes that your body will format. But when it comes down to the fingertips, it cannot be a painful structure, especially if you want to play on stage for like 3 hours. So sometimes you have your thumb, some people wrap it over. I don't know, everybody has a different way. But on the heavier strings, it takes more reach. And the smaller is when they do the faster leads. So as you work your way up, you think maybe it is harder. It's harder because you're pressing not like this, where your finger is bent like a hook, but as you go like this and you reach this way, it's harder to press because you're coming up around the neck more. But at the same time, someone can't tell you where to put your hand. You have to find a position that works for you. So if I want to play this string on this guitar without buzzing it with my index finger, because I'm going to reach for this note after, I want to have, but some people don't play like that. But okay, so what's the position of this? I know I'm talking about one thing, but that's the way it's supposed to be when you're learning. You see, I'm not strumming it over and over again. I'm trying to show you that, see, you know, when you get here, my hand moves. See, this is a pentatonic. Okay, so up until the 5th string, my hand is basically flat, because these strings are lighter. So I'm talking about what happens when you get to the 6th string, which is a very heavy string. To the 5th string. So what's gonna happen? Okay, so what happened to my hand? I noticed my thumb got lower. Look, when I go to the higher strings, I wrap my thumb around. Look what happens when I go here. You see what I'm saying?